Hello, and welcome to the Green Island podcast. I'm Bernard Sheehan, joined as always by my brother and co author, James Sheehan. We wrote Hard Border, a novel about Ireland during the time of Brexit and some of the issues going on there. Obviously, issues continue to go on. We're Irish Americans and have our perspective on what's going on in the country, but also around the world because everything affects everything. But, Jay, thanks for joining.
Be here. Thank you.
No, no worries. So, we've haven't had the greatest schedule recently on these podcasts coming out. We're going to get, kind of summer hours and stuff like that, but we'll get back to like regularly scheduled kind of program, if you like, here over the course of the next couple of weeks. Talk about obviously various items, some, keep some of it light and talk about other things as well. But, if you want to kick us off into some of the topics here, Jay, that'd be great.
Yeah, well, I think I guess the topic for today of Ireland is death in Ireland. We never really talked about it, but you, Bernard, and myself suffered the loss of our brother in Ireland, and so I just thought we would kind of use this episode to remember him because we were hoping he would join this podcast, but he just was too sick when we started, and he never got better, and he passed away on the 15th of August, and Phil, we miss you. And to talk a little bit about the experience there, because the healthcare wasn't great. Of course, he had a family there, so he wasn't going to leave. So we were kind of it was what it was. He wasn't willing to come back to America, which is understandable. As we could, everybody has a family. It's not easier when you're given a terminal illness, of 18 months to live. So he didn't take advantage of the American uh, medicine that he was entitled to. For anybody who's listening to this, if you are an American citizen, you are entitled to that. And he passed away. And Byrne went over to see him. We didn't go for the funeral all the way on the other side of the world at the moment. It was just too short notice. I'm going to probably, hopefully, go back to Chicago soon enough for kind of an American family tribute to him because the funeral was in Ireland. And as you can appreciate, Bernard, myself, and our extended family are all Americans, and so my sisters represented us in Ireland. Thank you to them, and as well as my brother and my parents. And so he had a good representation. He had a lot of people visiting. We did videos, and it was all quite. But just Ireland. I just don't think I could have done it, Bern, to go over there because I heard the wake wasn't kind of what you would expect an American wake. It was very in your face,
Okay.
where people were sitting around the coffin and then people would come up and almost do a line, almost like, at the end of a wedding where you're kind of shaking everybody's hand. Like,
Hmm.
that would have, just because the way the Irish treated, I just can't look at, do that country anymore. I just
Yeah,
can't.
it's
Like,
interesting.
PTSD at this point.
Yeah, it's interesting how they, do the wakes over there. It's a little bit different than here, but like you said, and the way that, we talk about it, we're international. We're an international family. We've got folks all over the world. And, sometimes you can travel, other times it's a little bit more difficult. And, it was just that was the case. And, even though it was a long illness at the end, it was actually kind of sudden where, things were kind of going along really more or less the same. And then it was a quick downturn, which I guess is not an unusual story for a lot of folks. But, again, when you're not kind of in the vicinity or the same country, it's, you can't always be where you want to be. But, at the same time, when, folks came over to America or left Ireland, to go to South America or North America or Australia or wherever it was around the world. I mean, that was typically about it. I mean, we've got relatives who, were, kind of went for visits or went overseas, before the outbreak of World War II, and then we're stuck there and couldn't travel. With when things went down, so you kind of missed. Um, it's not unusual, let's put it that way, for when people leave Ireland, it's hard to get back. So we've been, kind of lucky in recent years where we have been able to go back and forth, but that still, doesn't mean it's like a normal occurrence. It's not always an easy trip, and it's not, you know, depending where you are in the world, it's hard to get back, and we definitely couldn't be back as much as we wanted to, but that would be the same with any of us. We're all flung around the world here, and we're not even with, if you're in America, it's not like we're all necessarily in the same states and stuff, but that's again not abnormal, right, in today's day and age where maybe up until recently there was a lot more freer travel. I feel like a lot of that is getting constricted. Airlines don't necessarily have as many flights, and they're definitely not inexpensive. So, here in the US, it's kind of the same way. But as you mentioned, the kind of the wakes and funerals are a little bit different over there. And, as you would versus what you would see here in the US, maybe I think that we've got things that are a little bit more, I don't know, kind of discreet, from the standpoint of like it's, they don't go on till all hours of the night or all hours of the day, where, sometimes these things can kind of just continue to kind of keep on going for a while or last multiple days over in Ireland.
Yeah, it sure did. But I was, yeah. So I mean, I was kind of expecting more like helping people with speeches if they wanted, but it was very much. But I mean, yeah, I'm kind of glad at the end I didn't go. I know it's sad to not like help with be the pallbearer, but I'll see everybody in America, and celebrate with them. And I'd rather spend a few days with them than, kind of, and kind of do it right to a degree.
Yeah.
The last 4 days or 5 days were pretty impactful. As you said, it did come on rather quick. And this is kind of the first loss of our generation. And it really hit home and, kind of showed we're all kind of immortal. I mean, even of all our cousins, he's the first to go. And it just, we were kind of the people who are kind of not the best advocates of Ireland were telling them that, when we were leaving, that you have to get out. Now, he was an innocent pawn in all our activities, didn't want anything to participate in. That just makes it doubly hurtful, because like, they got to him or God got to him or someone got to him, so it's sad. It's sad, but that's really almost the last tie to Ireland we have, except for his kids, which of course we'll stay in touch with. But I mean, it's like, that there's no reason to go back to that fucking place anymore, in my opinion.
Well, it's changing and has been changing for at least 10 years now. And that's what we've been talking about, right? Is, really some of the things that I feel like this is not just Ireland. As we talk about, Ireland's kind of the test subject. It's a laboratory. It's also kind of like its own very, it's an island, right? So it's like, here you go. Everything is kind of self-contained in Ireland versus like maybe France is spilling into Germany, and some of the stuff that's going on in Hungary spills into, kind of their neighbors. So like there's a lot of stuff within Europe because it's contiguous versus Ireland being an island. But I think a lot of the things that we've seen in the last couple of years, which is, let's call what it is. I mean, just downright evil, is really a little bit more on display, or it's not being as well hidden because these guys don't really have to hide it anymore. I think there's a lot of folks there who are just like, what are you going to do about it? And that's both sides. People who would want to stop something from happening, and the other side are just like, I dare you, do something. And it's not, this is kind of the world we live in right now. And we see it more and more as we're recording this. Over in the US, you've got the Democrat National Convention going on, and I mean, it's as much of a freak show slash, crazies out in the street as you could possibly handle. So it's all over the world, and unfortunately, we're kind of living through this. And as you said, our brother was the first one from our generation because we're kind of in the middle. We've got younger cousins and we've got way older cousins. Kind of given the birth order of our folks. But again, he was kind of like the first one to go, and he was a young guy with young kids, and it's kind of BS, but that's life, not just for us, for a lot of people, but like you say, having it done in a sense, kind of going out in a foreign country, or um, kind of makes it especially difficult because we didn't have that ability to get them proper health care, here in the US, or what we would consider kind of next level versus, you know, the kind of the Irish system, government run system.
Yeah, and I think it's a little bit more than that because if he got it maybe 5 or 10 years from now, I'd be like, okay, whatever. But like 2 freaking years or 3, 4 years after we escaped, he's dead. He's our last one.
Right.
It's kind of pissing me off. I know it's a brain cancer, but it's still like, the back of my mind, like, what the hell happened? You know?
Yeah.
But man, once you got the diagnosis, it was like clockwork in that country, boom, 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 gone, like a conveyor belt.
Well, everything there is managed decline, right? It's
Sure.
especially something that's, when you've got cancer, the key there is to get it early and get it out and be as aggressive as you can early. But that's not the way the system is set up. It's set up to kind of, take a shot at it maybe, and then you're kind of on your own, and, it's, you're just kind of going downhill from there, and we'll make you comfortable type of attitude. But I think that's all of Europe too, right? It's that's kind of the way they do it. I mean, and again, kind of with that healthcare system, if you've got something that's terminal, good luck. And, if you've got something, maybe it's just like, you need, orthopedic surgery or something, you're just going to be in pain for a long, long time before it's taken care of. And didn't have to be that way, but that's just kind of the way it was. As you talk about, Jay, it's an Irish story, not an American story with a happy ending.
For sure. No happy ending in this one yet.
Nope. Nope.
Crazy. It's just the
Nope.
hits keep on coming. Welcome to communism, you
Yep,
know?
exactly. And it's not just us. I mean, like you see people over there who are, you know, um, kind of getting attacked out in the streets and getting stabbed and everything else. So it's brutal. I mean, that place is up for grabs. All of Europe is the same way. But I feel like Ireland is, again, like we talk about, kind of that tip of the spear. But so much of the things that are just driving people crazy are kind of adding that level of tension to the world. Is, you see it in the UK too, where they're just they're fighting back a little bit more and not putting up with it. But I think it's too little, too late potentially.
I think, yeah, I think you're right. I think it might be too little too late. And the only difference between Ireland and the rest of Europe is that Ireland speaks English, and it's a little island that they can control, Not to say the other countries in Europe aren't controlled, but it seems like Ireland was just a nice little people seem like homogenous people, and man, did they roll over quick, and still are.
Well, that was the deal they cut. That was to be a part of Europe, you've got to get in line with Europe. And that's what they wanted, right? To be nothing more than European, sell out their, their heritage, and, become part of like a bigger system to, and they have. They're more European than the Europeans. And it's just a shame to see because,
But it just shows then, like, that the downside is don't bother trying to like save yourself if you have cancer or terminal diagnosis. We're just going to usher you across the line. Not to say they didn't do good as care as they could. Man, I'd hate to see the people coming after them, but or after him, but it's more like, yeah, we'll keep you comfortable. Where in America, or more, I would be on a plane to a proton accelerator or trying everything, which thing under the sun. It's just a different attitude,
Well, and here
you
too, I
know?
mean, there's a lot of, people can love or hate Trump or whatever. But one of the things that he passed when he was president was a right to try, which is basically like, hey, this is experimental. It's not covered by the FDA. But you're taking a chance because you've got a terminal illness and you're like, I want to try this, um, this procedure or this treatment method that maybe is not normal or hasn't been fully approved. But that's not an option, over there. They just do things, again, kind of what's going to be the lowest cost, what's going to be the least risky. And, whereas here, I feel like people are going to take a lot more chances and roll the dice a lot more. And that's not necessarily the case. But we also are in a society here or in the US that's innovative, that people want to try stuff. People want to, take chances. And that goes for folks who are trying to come up with new and different alternatives, and new and different, treatment ways. And that's kind of the difference in the mindset, right? I think
I think
that's
that's it
that's
for
it.
innovation. I mean, we built pretty much all their hospitals for them in innovation. They couldn't innovate themselves. They couldn't get the cost under control. So they just stole them from us. I mean, that was the simplest fact there is. They couldn't do it themselves and they haven't built one since. And it's just in their mindset of, yeah, not finding every which way they can to, like, find a cure. And
Right.
I think he was just kind of unfortunately part of that society then.
Yeah, that's
But we
that's
were
the thing.
telling them when COVID come around, now's your chance to jump while you're a remote worker. You know, jump. You can kind of go somewhere else, and no, no, it kind of the opportunity window closed.
Yeah. Yep. And that's that's the reality. I mean, it's just like it was difficult for us to get over there. Once you're there, sometimes it's hard to get out of the lobster trap, I mean, or to get off of Alcatraz. It's
It is. They know that because they kind of you get comfortable there because it's so dark and rainy and stuff that you're kind of just like in a constant state of kind of like warm cups of tea on the fire.
right.
My wife even says like we escaped right before COVID. I think if COVID didn't come around, we wouldn't have been able to almost, but it was getting dodgy from a work standpoint. So I was like, we were leaving anyway, but we got spurred pretty quick where we dropped everything in 3 days and took a flight. Got
Wow.
out of there for good.
Yep.
They,
That's
they gave a,
And that's the way it's probably going to be in America too, potentially state by state, where people are jumping ship. You're already seeing a lot of that out of California. You're seeing a lot of it out of New York and Illinois, and that's the way it's, probably going. Definitely be like another spurt of that at some point. Whether that's this year or whenever to freaking get and go. But
yeah,
I,
100%. The place has
yeah,
gone freaking crazy.
yeah,
Like it really is. So like get out of Illinois, you
yeah.
know?
And unfortunately, we had a casualty. You know what I mean? It really, really sucks. We're from a big family, so it's not just, like our cousins, but like there's a lot of brothers and sisters that are all together, and one of us being missing is, it's gonna take a long time to get used to.
Yeah, it's like half the family's gone with
Right.
one gone. It's weird.
Yep.
It's absolutely crazy.
And that's the way it was growing up too. I mean, even when, if like people were out at sports or out with friends or something, we were always used to having like a really full dinner table and one or two are gone. It's just like, where is everybody? And
Yeah.
I'm sure that's the way this is going to be too. And, quite honestly, it sucks. And that's, that's life. And this is, you know,
Well, it won't be forgotten. That's for
not
sure.
forgotten exactly.
Something good will come of it.
Yep, exactly. So I think at least amongst ourselves, we've been able to reminisce, you know, I think pretty fully, and it's been like a good opportunity to kind of look back on good times. So like, there has been a silver lining, but it's just overall, it definitely does suck. So, you know, I guess that's the rest of us have to stick together ever, more tightly, really.
For sure. For sure. It was a shame though. You never got a chance to like participate in the podcast. The man on the street
I know it would have been
would have been
cool.
good
Yeah,
just at the
yeah,
beginning, you know. I guess
definitely.
if you're trying to survive or looking down the barrel of death, you know, he did it. He did it with class. In
Yep,
all fairness, must have been very scary.
yep. And some of the stuff that even over the last couple of days, you see various like stories and stuff like that on Twitter or out there, and I've been texting him out like this is something that Phil normally would have sent me, not the other way around. Like some of the craziness in Ireland or some of the craziness just out there. So it definitely is going to take a long time to get used to not having that, not having him around. So, Jay, anyway, I think, a short but sweet episode here, again, kind of personal, but also, this is what's going on, not only in the world, but in our lives. So we want to talk about it and, kind of connect here and, share it. So appreciate you hopping on.
Thanks, man. And it is to highlight the fact that apparently people are dropping like freaking flies, you know, from whatever's going on. So
Yeah,
stay tuned. Let's keep talking about it. You know, well, it's
definitely.
not the end; it's only the beginning.
Exactly, exactly. And we're not, we're not removed. We're, we've been impacted.
Oh
So,
yeah, we're in the freaking fight for
yeah,
sure, in the middle of it. So
yeah.
let's help other people through it, and hopefully more people listen to this podcast.
Yep, exactly. All right, man. Thanks so much. Talk to you soon.
Sure. Thank you. Bye bye.
I know.